Hold down, man, suitcase this, my cell phone and my charger don't walk with a limp. You get it knocked off or missing, you gon' get it. Next time I see you ass, you gon' leave airlifted. What's up, everybody? You already know K for All TV back in the building. Y'all hit that like and subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so you can see it first. Alright, so for the most part, on this video here, I'm gonna be taking it back a little bit. Way back to when I was younger, you know, when I first landed inside of a juvenile program, okay? And y'all seen the thumbnail, the one I landed at was called Southern Glades Youth Camp. Now, I'm going to break it down to y'all how it was when I first got there. You know, things I went through my first day when I walked in. And I'm going to tell you, you know, kind of some, you know, I'm going to tell you a fucked up story that happened to one of my homeboys while I was there. The reason I decided to take time to do this video is I had a lot of, like, the younger crowd, you know, message me on Instagram. They want to know what it was like in the program. They may be facing the program. Or it could be, you know, someone that has children that are going through that phase of getting in trouble. You know, that want to know what their child might go through when they go to a program. So that's why I decided to do this video. All right, now let's get into it. Now, you know, a lot of people, you know, the phase is like elementary school, middle school, high school, college, right? Then you got the people that shift, that end up getting into trouble and everything at a young age. And then it starts as the juvenile detention center to a juvenile program to the county jail to prison. All right. I happen to be one of those individuals that went from the detention center to a juvenile program to the county jail to prison. So I'm going to go ahead and break it down from when I was 14 years old and I finally landed at my first program. Okay, so for the most part, I was going to court and everything, facing my charges. I ended up catching like a attempted robbery charge. I caught a couple battery charges, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, you know, different little charges like this. And I actually beat one of my charges at trial, and it made my program not be a level 10. So I ended up getting dropped to a lower program. Now, I'll never forget, I was on home detention is what it was called, which is like, you know, it's kind of like house arrest, but there wasn't no anklet or nothing like that. I had a curfew and stuff like that, and I was waiting for a bed to open to go to the juvenile program. Now, at the time, you know, I wasn't allowed to live in Broward County at my dad's house. You know, my mom stayed in a different county. The judge ordered me to stay with my mom. So I'd still come down to my dad's every weekend. I'd come back to my neighborhood every weekend, you know, and shit like that. Well, it so happened to be that on this Friday that I was going to go to my dad's, my mom got a call. You know, she got a call that a bed was available for me to go to the program. When she got that call, I already was on my way down to go see my dad. So, you know, if you don't turn yourself in or whatever, you know, you have a warrant out for your arrest. So my mom didn't want to tell me that the bed is available and ready because she was scared that if I found out, I'd go to my dad's and I'd run. I'd make it worse in my situation, which 9 times out of 10, she was right. So I'm at my dad's the whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, I'm there. And I remember I had this little, I pulled this little female or whatever, and I was hanging out with her, and she was like, oh, you know, in Plantation, Florida, she was like, oh, when you supposed to be going to your program and all this? And then one of my homeboys was like, man, they've been telling him that shit for months, man. They're just trying to scare him. He ain't going to no program. He ain't going to no program, because it took like 2-3 months for them to actually have a bed open for me. So I'm like, man, it is what it is. Sure enough, the very next day, that was Saturday night, the very next day, Sunday, my mom came and picked me up. And as I get in the car with her and I'm driving back, you know, to leave Broward County, she starts crying in the driver's seat. So when I look over, I'm like, what are you crying for? She's like, oh, the program called, they're ready for you and all this and that. So I had a warrant out for my arrest because I was supposed to turn myself in that Friday. But she wanted me to enjoy my last weekend at my father's. So I had a warrant out for my arrest that whole weekend and didn't even know. Now, I'm like, so why you crying then? She's like, cuz this and that. So I'm like, all right, then bring me to see my dad real quick. Like, he was at work that morning. You know, my dad was at work. So I told her to bring me by his job real quick so I could see him and tell him goodbye. She starts crying, oh, if you run, it's going to be worse. I'm like, I'm not going to run. I just want to tell him bye because, you know, he was expecting to see me next weekend. So Long story short, I called my old boy, and he hit me with the tough love. He was like, son, I'm on a job. He's like, you know, I'll be there as soon as I can to come visit you. I'm like, all right. So my mom's like, you want to get something to eat? I'm like, nah, just bring me to the detention center. Just bring me to the detention center. So she's crying the whole time. She brings me to the detention center, and I walked in there and turned myself in. Now, it took about 3 days for them to actually ship me out to my program from the detention center. And as I was being shipped from the detention center, I got transferred from Broward County's detention center to Dade County's detention center. And then when I got transferred, and then another person was being transferred that was at Dade County's detention center also, but he was from somewhere else. And he actually was going to the same program as me. He had already been at the program, but he came back for court. So when I was getting transferred to the program from Dade County's detention center, he was telling me how it is. He's like, yeah, we're going to Southern Glades Youth Camp. So I'm like, man, what's up with it? You feel me? Trying to figure it out, you know, because I was in alternative schools and everything. So I've always been getting into fights and shit when I was younger. So, you know, that's really not no issue. So he's like, nah, it's straight, bro. This and that, it ain't nothing, you know. He's like, boom, you know, you're going to have to probably fight and shit like that. So I'm like, all right, it is what it is. So we take this long little bus ride, just me and one other inmate. Me and him are the only two that are going to this program. We take this long little bus ride, and it's way out there in Florida City, in Dade County. It was in Florida City, near off, kind of like by, I want to say FSP, Florida State Prison. It was out there in the middle of like these fields, like it was really out there. So I'm sitting on the back of this in this little paddy wagon, just me and this other dude. We talking. He's got dreads. You know me, my hair had a blowout at the time. We talking, I'm looking at how much grass, and I see all these different, you know, people on the side of the road. You know, like it's all vegetables and shit. You see people on the side of the road with their baskets picking beans and cabbage and carrots. Then on this side, you see the same thing. And I remember when I looked, I'm like, damn, that shit look like a prison. But really, that's because we actually pulled up and we passed one of the Florida State prisons. So it was a prison that I actually seen. Then I'm like, damn, this shit look, you know, like, this shit look like you see on TV. But then we ended up turning and going down these long dirt roads. And when we went down these long dirt roads, nothing but bushes on both sides for like 10 miles. Bushes and bushes down a dirt road. And then all of a sudden there's a little cut. And then when we pull in, there's the front gate with the barbed wire. And that's it. So now, and it says, welcome to Southern Glades Youth Camp. Now, the reason I'm speaking on this video and breaking it down about this program is this program closed for child abuse. You know, it actually closed, and I'm gonna pin the link in the pinned comment. So in the comment section, I'm gonna pin the link so you can actually see the program I was at. It actually closed for child abuse. It closed down. I looked online or whatever. I was gonna actually go there and get actual footage of the actual place, but it's knocked down. It's completely, there's nothing there. So I know, due to what the kid's saying, you know, in his thing, what happened, you know, they make you stand up for hours with your hands behind your back, you know, locked like this. You got to have it locked like that. Your feet got to be at a 45-degree angle. You know, all that stuff is true. And it ended up getting shut down or whatever due to child abuse. But I'm going to break it down and tell y'all a story about what happened to one of my homeboys one time. But, so anyways, we pull up to the front gate. They open the gate. The van pulls in, drives all the way around. I see nothing but these buildings. These buildings were the dorms, all right? At this program, there was dorms. They were named after football teams, college football teams. We had Gator Dorm, Hurricane Dorm, Seminole Dorm, and Rattler Dorm. Rattler Dorm, I don't think was named after no football team, but I was in Hurricane Dorm. Hurricane Dorm was right here. Right there was Gator Dorm. Over here was Rattler Dorm. And then you got the multimedia building, which is like where you go for church and all this stuff. And then you walk all the way around past all the center gate, like you're going towards the chow hall. And then you have the school building. And then you have Seminole Dorm across from the school building. When I was there, Seminole Dorm was no longer a dorm for inmates. They used it for one of the teachers' like classroom. So like when we'd go in there during class, we'd be sitting there in this, and you see all the rooms, but the rooms were all bandos. There was nobody in it, and they used the day room as part of schooling. So we get there, they make us get off the bus. Now, not to mention, I'm 14 years old. This is my first time being locked up away from my family for a stretch, to actually do a stretch. I'd have been to the detention center a couple times. I did a couple 21 days. I did a 42-day bid in the detention center. I caught an extra fighting thing inside of the detention center when doing 21 days. I caught an extra 21 days, ended up doing 42 days. You know, different things like that. So we get off the bus. This is my first time being away from my family for this long. And I actually ended up being there longer than I was supposed to be. So I get off the bus in shackles. They walk us into the multimedia building. As soon as we walk in, this big officer comes out, sits us down, puts a chair dead ass in front of us like this and tries to scare you. Tries to talk to you like, oh, we ain't gonna have no problems, right? And then what they did is they shaved our heads as soon as we got there. They cut my hair and the dude who came with the dreads. And they actually, when they cut my hair, they literally put it in a box and sent it to my family. So when I talked to my stepmom and them, they started crying and shit and everything. That, you know, because they always knew me of my hair. They literally put my hair in a box and sent it to my family. So they shaved my head and everything like that. They shaved the other dude's head. Boom. Now they're trying to scare us or whatever. They make us rub this stuff that's meant for scabies and crabs and all this stuff all over our body, this and that. And then they send us to the dorm. When they bring you to this dorm, they bring you there and they do something that's called intake. All right. So I walk in the Hurricane dorm. When I walk in the Hurricane dorm, they're like, all right, boom, your cell is right there. Your cell, your door's number 3. So I'm like, all right, boom. They do intake. As soon as I walk in my quad, our dorm was on lockdown. So they had the chow hall trays, instead of going to the chow hall and eating, they had like this big square black plastic thing that had styrofoam trays stacked up on top of it, and then it was wrapped with saran wrap to hold it down while they're carrying it so it don't fall over. Now, they're all eating their trays and shit like that. Everyone, I walk in and everyone's in the day room eating. So they decide to do intake. Now, intake is when they want to scare you and the officers sit back and allow it. So you don't really know, you know, being fresh, being brand new, you don't really know if this is what it's really like or if they're just trying to scare you. So when I was there, I was new. You get an orange jumpsuit as soon as you get in there. You know, you get like an orange t-shirt, and that's like you're the new cop. That means everyone else is wearing blue and white. You're wearing orange. That lets people know who's new and who ain't. So this is what they do when it comes to intake. They pulled out a bed in the middle of the day room, had all these other inmates sitting around me and everything like that. And they're like, okay, we're going to show you one time how to make your bed. And the officers sitting right there saying, go ahead, y'all teach them, y'all teach them. And the officers sitting right there, they try to scare you into making you be to where you curl, so that way you don't give them a problem in the long run. Eventually down the line, I ended up giving people their intake when they came in and scaring people. I had people get in push-up position. I had kids doing push-ups when they first got there and everything like that. And then like 8 months later, they try to boot up like they living like that. Like they forgot who curled them when they first came there. After they get comfortable, they try to boot up like they're living like that. You know what I'm saying? But I remember, boy, I had you doing push-ups. Boy, crying. Talking about you want to go home where your mommy at. You know, stuff like that. So, but I'm going to tell y'all my experience of my intake. So when I came in, they pulled out the bed. Boom. So there was this big dude named Gore. His name was Gore. He was supposed to go home in a couple days. Gore. So they tell me that I got 30 seconds to put my sheet on my bed with no creases, no wrinkles, no nothing in it. And they hurry and they walked. They literally fold the mat, put the sheet on there, walk around the bed, put the sheet on there, do the same thing. So as they're doing this, I'm just looking like, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm looking at them like 30 seconds, you feel me? All right, boom. I see the officer sitting right there. She's like, what are you looking at? You know, do it, you know? So I'm like, all right, I'm just listening to the officer, you feel me? So when I go to do it, boom, next thing you know, I got this one dude. He ended up being my dog. But when I first got there, you know, we had conflict. He ended up being my dog, you know what I'm saying? After a while, my dog, his last name was Evans. You feel me? I'm not going to put his first name out there, but he was from Overtown in Dade County. So he's sitting there the whole time and he's eating out of his tray right here next to me. And he keeps saying to me, "Whoa, to get out of line, sure to get his head bust. Whoa, to get out of line, sure to get his head bust." That's what he keeps saying right here the whole time. You know, as I'm trying to do this sheet thing with the bed. So I didn't even get a chance to try 2 times with the bed because they grabbed my sheet and said, "Try it again," and threw it on the ground on the other side of the bed. So when I walked around the bed to pick it up and grab it, they grabbed it. Another inmate grabbed it and threw it over the bed again on the floor over there. So, you know what I'm saying? So I walked around one more time to go pick it up. They grabbed it and threw it again and said, "Go pick it up from over there," like that. So I got mad. And when I got mad, I flipped the damn bed. When I flipped the bed and shit like that, they called staff support. You know, me not knowing what a staff support is, I didn't know they called a staff support and all this other shit. So an officer came in there, whatever. They grabbed me and they made me, there's a pole in the middle of every dorm, like a pole. They made us stand there with our face in the pole like this with your hands, you know, diamond locked behind at a lock thing with your nose into the pole. You know, I don't know none of this yet though. So after I flipped the bed, you know, they called a staff support. They came there and grabbed me like this, the officers, and they walked me to the pole in the middle of the dorm. Boom. So now I'm standing there, and then, you know, they clear the staff support. Me, I don't really know. I don't know if this is, like, the officers are letting these, you know, these 5, 6 dudes act like, you know, like I gotta follow the rules of what they say, you know. So, like, I'm getting kind of frustrated with it. So I didn't know this is what it was, you know. So after that, them officers leave, they clear the staff support. Now they pull out a domino table, which is just like a white fold-up table. They pull it out. They say, the officer's like, "Put your bag on there." So I put my laundry bag on there. It's got like my whitey-tighty underwears they make you wear, my socks, and my white shirts, and my blue shorts, and stuff like that. So now they say you got 10 seconds to roll a pair of socks, 10 seconds to fold your shirt, 10 seconds to fold your shorts. You know, they break it down to you like that and show you how it's done. So as I'm doing it, I'm like, all right, I could do that. So boom, I do the socks. They taught me a way you do your socks. They were like long socks. They weren't like, you know, ankle socks. So you put one on top of the other and you roll them both up from the end to the top, and then you just flap it like that and it looks like a ball. You know, so I'm like, all right, boom, I did that. All right, boom, I did that. Boom, I did that. But as I'm doing it, here goes Evans right here on the side of me. Whoa, to get out of line, sure to get his head bust. Whoa, to get out of line, sure to get his head bust. This is all he's saying right here in my face. You know, like right here on the side of my head. He's like right here. He's got one foot on the ground and the other one on a chair. And he's leaning on his knee like this, saying it. Eating. Whoa, to get out of line, sure to get his head bust. You know, he's just doing intake. So I go to do the shirt. The guy in front of me grabs it and he's like, "Try it again." And he like messes it up, drops it on the table. So I'm doing it. Like they would say 10 seconds. They'd get to like 5 seconds and be like 6, 7, 8. Like they'd speak. "Try it again." You know, just to give you a hard time. Try it again. The last time I told him, I said, I ain't making it again after this. Straight up. And they're like, "Oh, what you saying? So what you saying? Oh boy, you better watch what you're saying, white boy. You better watch what you're saying, white boy." Everybody tried to act like boot up and act like, you know, they was literally like, you know, just trying to scare me. Because when you first walk in with a big plastic bin with all your shit in it that they give you when you get there. So it's like everyone looks at you like you're a target. So the last time I go to make the shirt, he grabs the shirt and he throws it at me. When he throws it at me, I flip the table. When I flipped the table, I swung on Evans, who was right here next to me. So I got in a fight within my first hour on the compound. I swung on Evans, and when I swung on Evans and threw like 2 more at him, he backed all up on the ground. He got up and everything like that. The whole dorm jumped up and all ran and faced the wall, like, and locked their hands up. Me not knowing no better, I go to booting up. "Yeah, man, what y'all thought? Y'all got me fucked up, this and that. Y'all got the wrong one, the white boy ain't having it, I go to booting up. I'm thinking they're all scared and they all, you know, scattered. They know what time it was. But really what it was is when there is a staff support for a fight, you're supposed to lock it up with your hands behind your back and face the wall. And I didn't know all this. So as I'm booting up, next thing you know, the door from that under end of the dorm and the door from this both swing open. And the officers come running in, the staff support officers, and they pick me up and they boom me on the ground literally pulled me on the ground, put my arm behind my back, tried to make my thumb touch my wrist, all this shit, and had me up against this pole in the middle of the dorm. Okay? And then that was like right there, boom. So now I'm like, what? So then they're yelling at me, this and that. They take me out in handcuffs, and then they bring me to the the program director's office. When they bring me to the program director's office, they told me that since I've been there so soon and got into 2 staff supports back to back, that I'm facing transfer. That's what they told me. His name was Mr. Campbell. And they said that Mr. Carter, that was his name, Mr. Carter. I'm in Mr. Carter's office, and they said that I'm facing a automatic transfer because I gave them problems so soon since I've been here. So I'm like, man, to me it wasn't even that serious. Like, what? You get in one fight? You get one fight, now they want to transfer you, right? So, but he was just doing that just to meet me in person and to talk to me and try to scare me into that. Because I had over 75, maybe 80 staff supports while at this program after this. So they sent me back to my dorm. Everything's all gravy and this and that. The dude Evans, he ain't really got no problems. He was just doing what he wanted to do. You know, he was just doing, but he did tell me, oh, you gonna see, white boy, wait until, what was his name? Wait till Williams gets on shift. Wait till Williams gets on shift. And me, I didn't know what that meant. So I'm like, man, it's whatever. It's whatever. You feel me? So, like, the next day, the very next day, it's breakfast time. All of us go to the chow hall. When we go to the chow hall, you know, we walk into the chow hall, and they have all the dorms meet there in the chow hall, and then they separate you into groups for school. And it goes off of, like, you know, like A group. If you're an A, you know, those are like the top of the line with the grades. Then B, then C, then D. You know, I was in B. I was in B group. So my classroom was all people that was B group, you know. And as soon as we go to the chow hall in the morning and we're breaking it up into little groups, all the new people, you know, got to sit at this one table. And the only new person there is me and the dude that came with me. But he already knows everybody. You know, he was already there. So he was like, fit back in. There's just a couple new people that came while he was gone. But me, I'm freshly new. So I'm sitting at this table that you got to sit at when you're brand new all by myself. All of a sudden, this big old dude from Gator Dorm come up to me. You know, and I heard he died, you know, on the streets. I heard, you know, he got killed over his baby mama. His name was Tyson. Me and him ended up getting cool down the line too, but rest in peace to Tyson. So he came up to me and he was like, hey, white boy. So I look over, I'm like, what's up? He's like, oh, you the one making all this ruckus on my compound? That's what he says. And I'm like, right? So I start laughing. And he's like, what, you think this shit a joke? And then he's got his homeboy with him, which that was my dog too. You feel me? I heard he got killed too. My dog Pope. A lot of people know about him. He was from Palm Beach, the Raw, from Rivera. His last name was Pope. You know him. He like, oh, what's so funny? And I said, man, and he's like, oh man, you don't make me have them put you in Gator Dorm. You know, we fuck people over there, you know, trying to scare me and shit. I'm like, man, check this out, cuz. I said, man, it is what it is, bro. I said, at the end of the day, bro, I ain't finna just let someone try me, bro. You feel me? That's what it is. So the Pope was like, oh, we ain't your cuz, bro. You feel me? And I'm like, man, y'all ain't nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? They're like, all right, say no more. And they walk off. You feel me? That was just to scare me a little bit. I guess they heard over the radio, because that's how the whole program was fit in, to where, like, if eventually it got to the point to where if I got into an situation, my homeboys on the other side of the compound would hear it over the radio. Staff support on such and such and such and such. They'd take flight in their dorm. You know, that's how it was. That was just how it was. Everybody stuck together. It was such a small world that anytime someone got in trouble, it wasn't like prison. You find out, damn, you went to confinement yesterday? No, you hear it over the radio. Staff support and Gator Dorm, you know, shit like that. So, for the most part, they walked away, and I was there, and I had to start off, you know, going to the school building, and shit like that. So, they put me in B group. Now, as I'm there, whatever, that day in school, there was no issues, no nothing. I was just fresh in the school building, you know. They gave me a little packet of the work to do. All these people looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm new. It is what it is. So, later that night, I get woken up. And then I get woken up. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, not to mention, the night before that, when I got in trouble, They didn't even let me sleep in my room, the officers. They pulled my bed out and made it stay in the day room. Everyone else slept in their thing, in their room, and they made me sleep on a bed in the middle of the day room. So when the breakfast shift came around, the officer, his name was Lowe. Lowe woke me up. He's at 8, and I look up, and he's like, "You the one that's causing all that drama over here in my dorm too?" Like, you feel me? Like, he came there and he tried to like spook me because I was new, and he woke me up from my sleep. And was like, boy, he like, you gonna learn. You gonna learn about Hurricane Dorm. You know, shit like that. So I was like, man, it's all right, it is what it is. So he like, I should wake you up right now and have you, you know what I'm saying, scrub the bathrooms and shit. But I ain't gonna do it. Because all our officers were like thugged out dudes from Dade County. They all were hood, had golds in their mouth, you know, and everything like that. So even the female officers, they all had golds because it was in Florida City, it was in Miami. So that's what happened that night. All that happened. They didn't even let me sleep in my room. They tried to make an example of me, made me sleep out in the day room with the lights on and everything. So the next night, I'm in my room sleep. They come in there, knock on my bunk, do. And I look up, and he's like, "You Harris?" I'm like, "Yeah." He like, "You from Davie?" I'm like, "Yeah." Because that's what I was saying when I was booting up. Like, man, you got me fucked on from Davie, this and that, right? So, he's like, shower. You feel me? So me, I'm like, all right, I hadn't took a shower since I've been there. You know, they didn't have the shower. So I was like, all right. Boom. So then when I get off my bed, I go on my bin, I'm grabbing a towel, I'm grabbing soap, I'm grabbing all this shit to go take a shower. But then as I look over out of my cell, because they took the doors off the cells. They took the doors off to where it was just a room, you know? So when I'm looking over, I see Evans putting shoes on and he's nodding his head at me like, so me, I look at him and I grab my Bob Barker shoes and I go to nod my head and I put them on too. Now I'm catching on to where, oh, this is Williams. This is the one they're saying that when he come on shift, okay. And shit you not, bruh. We went back there. It's called out of sight. You know, they say get there. Or you say, man, get there. Tighten up. And it means out of sight. No cameras. You walk off camera. You go back there. There's a washer machine, a dryer, a little like walkway, and then curves. And it's got the little showers. And then to the left is like a big bathroom on its own. And you go in there and there's stacks of mats all on the floor next to the washer and dryer. And that officer literally sits on the washer and dryer while you two grid. So I go in there. When I go in there, when I walk and I bend the corner, like to walk in there, he's already in there. He got his shirt off and shit. He jumping up and down. So as soon as we go in there and I throw my set up, he throws his set up. I rush him. Off rip. I rush him. And me and Evans, we go to bumping. We tussling. We slamming each other on top of the thing. He punched me real good on my shit one time, though. Like, I didn't get no swollen eye, nothing like that. No black eye, nothing. But he caught me with a good one. But that was just a lucky punch. You know what I'm saying? He gave me a run for my money. Don't get me wrong. Like, I won't say I whooped him. You know what I'm saying? I gave him that win. You know what I'm saying? I gave him that win. I say, you got that. Like, after the fight was done, I was like, you good, you got that. You feel me? But really, it was like a tie. But it was just the point to where he respected me and I respected him. And he ended up being my dog. You know what I'm saying? And then, but down the line, he'd tell people like, boy, you tripping, boy. Frog will paint your ass. Boy, Frog painted me. You see, shit like that. So he'd say I won. I say he won. We were jits. You know what I'm saying? So the officer seen that. So the officer, you know, after that all happened and shit like that, we grid or whatever, we go in there. They all get broke up. Boom, I go back to my room. He go back to his room. The next night, because this was a weekend, you know, the officer worked weekend nights, who I'm talking about. He looked just like Kane from Menace to Society. If y'all see Menace to Society, he looked just like Kane, the officer I'm talking about. He was a little short dude like that. He was all tatted. So the next day he come on shift and he bragging to them, like I'm in my room and shit, but he bragging to them like, nah, boy, Davie, boy, was getting off. Like, y'all talking about, so another inmate like, man, I'll paint that crack, you know, like, he's like, man, he like, I don't know now, he like, I'm just letting you know, boy, that white boy getting off, though, you, like, you feel me? This is, man, whatever, man, tell him to get that, and this and that, this and that. So later that fucking night, sure enough, doom. Hey, Davie, I look up, what's up? He's like, shower. So now I'm like, damn, like, what the fuck, I gotta grid him again? So I get off my bunk, I look, and I see a whole nother one from Pompano. His name was Toussaint. You feel me? Steven Toussaint was his name. He had gold in his mouth and all. I see him. I look. I'm like, boom. So now we go in there. And he wanted to fight me because he didn't like how the officer was bragging white boy was bumping. You feel me? He was a Haitian, the one I'm talking about. So me and him, we get in there, whatever. Brr, we go to fighting. Brr. You know, we go in there. Boom, boom, boom. He way bigger than me, though. He bigger than me, but I was chubby. So he couldn't do nothing with me, but he was bigger than me. So that one right there wasn't, to me, I feel like I won that one more than the other one before that. You know, the other one, I felt like he got that or whatever. Like, I couldn't keep count because we both were whooping each other. But that one, I felt like I won, you know. He felt like he didn't win. I mean, he won, you know, this and that. So, I shit you not, man. For, like, my first 3 months there, I had to fight, like, 4 or 5 different people every Friday and Saturday. They would literally come wake us up. And it got to the point to where they respected me. Then the officers started naming me Sparkplug. That was the nickname they gave me in there, Sparkplug. You know, like literally, like I'd get hot and pop off. Like, so what you saying, man? Get there. Like once I knew that was the way, man, wait till Williams get. Once I knew that was the way to do it, I could do it. But me, I was hot-headed. So we can get in an argument on Monday. Man, I want your head right now, bro. Ain't no way I'm finna wait till Saturday and all that, man. Fuck that. You know, so like I get staff supports because I'll grid you in the school building. No matter where it was, we would just grid and get into it. So, I've been through so much shit in this program, and I'm gonna let y'all know it was only supposed to be a 9 like up to 9 to like 14 months or some shit like that program, from like a 6 to 9 month program, and I ended up being there going on like 20 months. You know, I got in trouble one time and they restarted my whole program. When I first got there, you start off on level 0, 0. And then you got to go up to 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, and then level 2. And then 2, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 4, 4. When you get to 4, 4, you're eligible to go home, you know, from the judge. But I remember they had me on video cameras outside of the school building, you know, fighting with the officers, got my hand behind my back, and they're recording it and sending it to the judge, talking about this is going to your judge. And I'm like, man, fuck that. I'm crying and everything. You know, I was legit. But they put their hands on us. You see, when I first got there, the program had changed because before, since it was out there in the woods and shit, they used to go on outings. They had like an abandoned building that I'd never been in that was in the back of the compound that had bikes and shit like that. They'd go on bikes and kayaks and stuff like that. But there was 4 inmates that escaped. Literally, like the weekend I got there, like literally they were on lockdown from that, you know. 4 of them escaped. And all 4 of them ended up getting caught. One of them got caught in Homestead at a gas station asking people for cigarettes. Another one got caught under a house, like in a neighborhood, probably like 15 minutes from the program. He was hiding from the police. Another one got pulled over. He had caught in a stolen car in Broward County. He stole a car and went to Broward. They found him in Broward. And then the 4th one got caught on a bike from the program, riding on the side of the highway, like on the highway, like on the side of the white line. So all 4 of them got caught. You know, they were just kids. You feel me? But that like made it to where the program wasn't no outings no more, and there wasn't nothing. It wasn't to where you can, you know, it wasn't no rehabilitation where you can, you know, you got a little bit of freedom and activities to do. So when I got there, it was just straight up, you know, this is what it is. And I was already in an alternative school where we used to fight. So, of course, everywhere I go, I'm always the only person from Davie. That's simple. Or if someone comes from Davie to that place, they see that I'm putting on. I got my hood's known. People know, boy, when you speak of Davie, boy, you know K-Frog? You know? And no one that knows me is going to run their mouth about me from Davie unless it's someone that I don't fuck with on the streets. Or someone that I tried on the streets before. You know what I'm saying? But no one from the east side is going to be like, oh, yeah, I grew up with him. Fuck it. None of that. It is nothing like that. So, after getting in all these fights and shit like that, I finally got used to the program. Now, I remember when the officers, they ended up turning off the audio on the cameras in the dorm, and they'd make you go lock it up like this in the middle of on the pole, and the officer would yell at you. You got 2 choices. You go this way or you go this way. You better pick your right choice. I'm telling you now, you better pick the right choice. And basically, it's just the setup, because for the camera, it looks like you're trying to get off the pole when you're supposed to stay on the pole. But you're actually following the officer's orders. But since he turned the audio off, they don't know that. So whether you make a left to go around the pole or a right, that officer's going to pick you up and slam you on the ground. My second day there, they slammed someone I knew that was from Shallow Side in Lauderdale. The floors were wooden back there. It was like a portable floor, like how a portable is in a school. They slammed that man my like second or third day there and literally broke the floor. Like they put that boy through the floor. These grown ass men taking it out on young kids. And when they did that, his teeth went through his mouth. You know, his teeth went through his mouth. So there was a cone sticking out of the floor my whole time at that program. The tip of the cone was sticking out because they had a cone down in there so you don't fall in the hole when you're walking. You know, but that happened from them slamming a young, innocent, you know, child. I mean, he wasn't innocent. He was in there for committing crimes, of course. But this is a child. These are grown men like 5 times our size, you know. So, and then it only got worse and worse and worse. You know what I'm saying? One other time I had gotten a fight during count time. We was on the rec yard, and like when they call count, everybody must line up. Everybody must stand around the damn the basketball court. And then you got to say 1 youth, 2 youth, 3 youth, 4 youth, all the way around the whole thing, and like dominoes until you get to the end, and then you and then you say to the officer how many it is, and then the officer will call count in. But the way it was working is we was gambling on a basketball game. It was like 4-on-4, and one of these kids that was in my dorm, in Hurricane Dorm, worked in the kitchen. Only 4 inmates out of the whole compound worked in the kitchen. You know, we made real food and shit like that. And this one kid, he was like, man, you know, he's like, man, you know, you need to stop getting in trouble. He was a white boy. He's like, you should stop getting in trouble. You feel me? He's like, I see if I can get you in the kitchen or whatever and help you, you know, to where you're out of the dorm most of the time and shit like that. So I'm like, shit, I called out. I like to work in the kitchen. So I ended up being able to work in the kitchen. So when I work in the kitchen, you know, it ain't nothing for me to bet a tray on something. Like I can literally say to someone like, you know, like we played 4-on-4 in basketball. And the way we played, whoever's winning at the end of by the time rec's over, that's who won. We didn't have 2 points. We just played to whoever's winning, that's who won. And I betted the team. I said, I bet all 4 of y'all. I said, I bet all 4 of y'all a week of trays. You feel me? I said like that. If we lose, I'll give all 4 of y'all an extra tray. But if we win, each one of y'all got to pay one of my teammates a week worth of trays. So everyone's paying a week if they lose. I'm paying 4 people a week, but it wasn't nothing because then when they come to the chow hall, I could just give them a double tray. You feel me? It's nothing. So I can do that. I can cover my team's say so. You feel me? And so that's what the deal was. So now we're standing up during this count and shit like this, and this one dude on the other side of the basketball court, he keeps getting the count up, all fucked up, laughing and kicking. So I'm like, man, I ain't finna be standing out here all day for you. You feel me? That's what I'm saying. I said, man, you need to get this shit right. So he's like, oh, man, fuck you, Cracker. What you saying? This and that, this and that. So I'm like, man, what? So boom, I walk across right. You're not even supposed to move during count time. So I walk across the basketball court like, man, what you saying? And I hear one of the officers say, up, there it goes. That's exactly what one of the officers said. Up, there it goes. Then another officer was like, how he get a tank top? Because I had a tank top on when I took my shirt off. Man, what the fuck you talking? I came out and I had a tank. They're like, how'd he get a tank top? Because we didn't have tank tops in there. You feel me? So this black dude, he's got his hand behind his back and he's bopping against the pole of the basketball goal because the basketball court was set up like this, and it had one on each end if you want to play whole court, but then it had 4 this way. So if you want to play side court and side court or long court. So he's bopping up against one of the things. I said, man, who you talking? So when he leaned, man, you ain't saying, when he came near me, I shoved his chin and he hit the pole. Boom! And when he tried to swing, I already started coming through with my through like 3 or 4 of them at him. So me and him go to fight and they call staff support. When they call staff support, they grab me. Boom, they grab him. They restrain us on the hot floor out there. You know, they restrain us and everything like that. And I get in a fight over this shit. You know? But then all they did is, this was what was the bad part, is all they did is they just separate you. They sent him to his dorm, sent me to my dorm. Knowing we could see each other at Chow. We could see each other at the school building. On the way to Chow, dorms walk by each other. People just jump out of line, start fighting. You know, there was no way to separate everybody. But when they did that and put us back in our dorm, our teams continued to play. And we won. You see what I'm saying? So it was like, you know, like I wasn't finna just sit here and lose because this dude's taking his sweet ass time during count. You see what I'm saying? So that was a time. Another time I got into it on the rec yard. Check this out. This one kid's jogging around the rec yard the whole time. All of a sudden he falls out. So when he falls out, the nurse comes running there. Everybody comes running there. Another day that we had gambling on the damn basketball game. So all the nurse and everybody comes running out there and this and that, this and that. Next thing you know, he gets up. And they're like, everybody back to your dorm. Rec's over, Rec's over. So now we lost because of this. So I'm like, damn, dog. But then all of a sudden I look over. He jumps up. He's smiling and laughing. The nurse shakes his hand. He was part of the drill to see how the officers are going to react. So he didn't really faint. He didn't really fall out. He jumped up and was laughing, shaking hands and, and shit like that. So now they're like, everybody go back. Rec's over with. So I said, man, what? So I got mad and I went up to him and I said, hey, Jones. He turned around and I swung on him. Boom. We started fighting. Boom, 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 boom. Right there along the gate. Right there on the rec yard. The officers come, they break it up, they restrain me, they bring me back to my dorm. They throw me in my room. I look out my window, and I swear on everything, I hear the officer say, as they locked me in my dorm, they came and they walked out and walked like down the damn, like ramp, like a portable has, a school portable. They walked down, and I hear him say, oh, he fell for it, y'all get back to rec. And they go to continue playing. Like they did that, like that was a drill to get me set up, you know? So much shit went on at that program, man. Like, it was unreal. But I'm going to break it down to, like I said, you know, they got closed down for abuse. Now, I'm going to tell y'all about an abuse situation that I witnessed with my own 2 eyes while I was there. Okay, so me and 4 other kids from Lauderdale, you know, all stuck together. Like, we was, like, stuck together kind of like, it was like Orlando and Tampa, you know, would fight against Miami and Broward. Like, we was like, you know, but due to the fact, I'm wrong. I said that backwards. Palm Beach and Dade County stuck up for each other against Broward County. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where you heard that Broward coward. And then we'd be like, Dade is afraid. Dade is afraid. That's what we used to say, you know. Like, if I got in a fight with a kid from Dade, someone from Palm Beach would jump in. You know, that's just how it was. Against us, they would jump on me, you know. And then my dogs would stick up for me and they'd jump in too. It was like we had a clique. It was me. I had my dog Bonner, my dog Longhorn, my dog Campbell. There was 4 of us that used to always stay in some shit. Now, one was from Shallow Side, one was from Oakland Park, and one was from the Manors, and I was from Davie. Us 4. You know, they separated us. They ended up taking us out of the dorm. We was all in Hurricane dorm together. They ended up separating us, like putting one in Gator dorm, putting the other one in Rattler dorm. And, you know, they separated us because we stuck together like as a Broward movement. You feel me? So, one day, this is where, like, this abuse situation happened. So, I'm inside the chow hall eating lunch. While I'm inside the chow hall eating lunch, you know, the abuse hotline, you could get into an officer and you could just be like, I want to call abuse. I want to call abuse. You know, and then they'd call the supervisor, and then he'd come down there or whatever. And then they'd give you the number and sit right there and let you call them right in front of them. But they just take it out on you when you're not on the phone. You know, that's what it is, because you're putting their job on the line. So a lot of people would pump fake. You know, one time I had my whole dorm call abuse. I booted up to a point one time, I made it to where my whole dorm wanted to call abuse. I made it to where we all were standing together. You feel me? So, as I'm in the chow hall this one day, sitting there or whatever, I think I'm prepping lunch, you know, because everyone else is in the school building. All of a sudden, my homeboy comes in, one of my dogs from Broward. He comes in, and he's got a bandage on the side of his face. You know, like this. His whole side of his face is bandaged, and he can only see out of one eye. So I'm like, bro, what, you know, saying like, bro, who you grit? You feel me? I'm thinking like, who you fought? Because we always would get in the fights and shit like that. Now, come to find out, he's like, man, the officers did this shit to me. So I'm like, for real? He like, hell yeah. So he was a black dude, a black boy. So when he takes his thing off, his whole left side of his face is white. They ripped his whole face off, his skin off of his whole face. Abuse ended up coming out there, rewinding the cameras and all this stuff that you see on the outside of the chow hall and on the outside of the school building. What you see is him walking from one classroom to another. It was like double portable stuck together. So you'd walk out one door and then go right here and go to the other door. And then on the back end, you got to walk down the little stairs and then walk along the portable to go to the back one, to go to the third classroom. So as he's doing that, you see two officers on camera. They literally look over like this, start talking as he walks by them. They're walking from the school building. He's walking towards it. All the rest of the compound, everyone's in school or in the chow hall. When he walks by them, they literally like stop and start saying shit to him. He turns around, this and that, this and that. And then as he's walking to the school building, they keep walking. They like said something to him, and then they kept walking. And then you see them two like talking amongst each other and then turn around to go back towards him as he's walking with his back towards him now. They grab him, slam him on the ground. This tussling goes on camera. And one held his head down while the other one grabbed him by his ankles, and they drug him off camera on this hard fucking old gravel concrete road, and it ripped half of his skin off his face. And he was a black boy, so like you could tell he literally looked like Two-Face. This shit was white and this was black. And they literally held him down and dragged him by the ankles off camera. And abuse came there, you know, and everything like this. I don't think it ever hit like the news or anything like that. But abuse came there. The program director came around and started threatening all of us. We ended up getting a new program director after that, some Chico dude named Diablo. And he was like, he tried to act more like professional with it and shit like that. But he tried to act like he'll get you smacked, you know, and shit like that. So they ripped my homeboy's half of his face off. Now, years later, I ran into him in a holding cell in the Broward County Jail. I was in a holding cell waiting to go to court. He was in a holding cell waiting to go to court. And this is years later. This is like 10 years later. I see him, and to this day, half of his face is white from the way it healed. This is all dark black, and this is like pinkish. He looks like it's split in half due to these officers. And I witnessed that with my own eyes, what they did. You know, like, it was just crazy. And then we went on a strike against the officers there because of the shit they was doing, you know. So it ain't just the prison systems that do this corruption stuff. It's also the YO systems as well. All right? Like, and it's crazy like how time flies and you'll run into someone like that. I ran into another homeboy of mine that I was at this juvenile program with. I ran into at Charlotte CI. 12 years later, he had caught a murder and said, yeah, I got to go to prison after this, frog. And I ran into him 12 years later at Charlotte. He was still on the same bid. You see what I'm saying? So it's so crazy how small the world is. When I was in the county jail, I was in black and white, max custody on the 7th floor. And I went to church a couple times just to get out of the dorm. And, you know, and I wanted to get my religion right and believe in what I believe in. You know, I always I'm a Christian, and I always followed, you know, what I believed in. But, you know, I wanted to get more into it. So I went to church. And when I went to church, I seen about 20 people that were in black and white in different parts of the jail, whether it's A dorm or A quad, B, because it's A, B, C, D, however it is. I seen about 20 people from my juvenile program, like a reunion. And it just shows, you know, like I said, people go from elementary to middle school to college. I mean, for elementary, middle school, high school, college. Some people go from detention center to juvenile program to the county jail to prison. You know, and that's basically, I seen these people and I'm like, damn, they're following the same path as me. You know, but so much more went on at that juvenile program. Like, I'm going to be dropping some more videos on it and speaking on the shit too, like more things. Like, I used to hook my dorm up. Since I worked in the kitchen, I used to fill one of them big Gatorade jugs, the ones that you see them pour on the coach's back after they win a football game. One of those. In the chow hall, we used to have to put 2 bags of Gatorade in, like 2 bags of Gatorade filled one up. I would mix 2 Gatorades, and then I'd open up a can of crushed pineapples and pour it in there and put the lid on there and send it out for my dorm. Like, I always hooked my dorm up. When it came time for snacks, because we were juveniles, so they got to give you breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack. You know what I'm saying? When it came to snacks, you know, they put in different trash bags. They'll put, you know, 65 to 80 granola bars for each dorm. You know, they would put, like, out of 80, they'd put, like, 75 oatmeal raisin and 5 chocolate chip. My dorm was the opposite. When I made snacks, I put 50 chocolate chips, 20 oatmeal raisin one, you know, because some people like those. You know, me personally, I like them. A lot of people will say, bro, I got 2 oatmeal raisins for your chocolate chip. That's how, like, exclusive the chocolate chip one was. But to me, I'm like, I call that, you know. I come back to the dorm with 10 of them. I sell them for two a piece. Now I got 20 oatmeal raisin ones, and I like that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to bless my dorm, even when it was little bags of chips. You know, they put 50 bags or 60 bags of chips in a bag, in a trash bag. They'd put like 20, they put like at least like 52 regular Lay's chips, and then 8 would be sour cream and onion. I did the opposite. I blessed my dorm. There'd only be like 4 or 5 regular ones for the people who don't like sour cream and onion. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just, the juvenile program isn't much different from the county jail or prison. It goes down there, people get cut and everything, you know, shit like that. You know, it's the same thing, basically. So I just want to come on here and speak on that. I wanted to speak on, you know, how it was when I went to this program, especially this program got shut down for abuse. Now, me personally, I wasn't supposed to come home from the program. What happened with me is I kept getting in so much trouble. So many DRs, they kept saying or transfer me. So much shit I kept getting into that when we found out the program was shutting down. Woke up in the morning one time and there was only 60 inmates left on the whole compound. Overnight, they shipped so many different inmates. And these were people that had way more long time to go home. People that just started their bid, stuff like that still had to do their program. I was one of them people out of 60 that was going home. And I could not believe it. My dad spoke to the program director and was begging him, like, please don't transfer my son. You know, as you see, it's easy for him to get in there, hard for him to get out. You know, my family misses him. He done been in there way overdue. You know, we know he keeps getting into things. We're just asking you, please give him this chance. This and that, this and that. And I woke up in the morning out of that, and there was only 60 people left on this compound. Everyone else got transferred because the program was shutting down. Then it shut down. Like the next week or two, out of them 60 people, within a week, there's 12 people left on the compound. And they put them all in Hurricane dorm. So in my dorm, I had all these different people that was there. Some were from Gator, some from Rattler, and we all hung out the last 12 days. We got all the bags of snacks that all the dorms would have got. So amongst us 12 people, we had trash bags. They let us do whatever the hell we want. They let us pick our own room. I finally got the room I wanted in the dark, in the cut, that I always wanted. But the officer would only pick people they can trust to have the duck off. That was like the rawest spot, you know? I finally got to pick that room the night before I went home from the program, and I got to sleep in there. When I came home and got released, I had my laundry bag. It looked like a basketball net with Velcro. I had a laundry bag filled with the same little cup juices they give you in prison. I mean, in the hospital. I had a bunch of the Natural Valley granola bars, bags of Cheetos. Like, from us just gambling. We were just killing time with all these snacks that we had, you know? And they didn't care because it was shutting down. They only had 2 officers. The last day that program was open was the day that I successfully completed the program. And I sat, and they had the most people go home the last day it was open. Like, we were sitting in there. There's 12 of us playing dominoes. Next thing you know, they tell such and such, pack it up. Your parents are here. When he's leaving, we wait to hear it over the radio. Such and such has successfully completed the program. We'd all be in the door and be like, yeah, you feel me? Clapping and rooting. And we're still playing. And then it counted down. And then the last day I was there, that program was dead squashed. Me and 2 other people were the last 3 people to leave that program. That's how it was. We were the last 3 people to step foot off that program. The only officers they had working were the ones watching us in our dorm. The other dorms had no officers, no inmates in it. It was just 2 officers where we were at, and then the officer up top that did all the books, so that way it was legit that I'm released, you know, and all that. And we finally, like, I got to leave. And when I left, it was like unreal. Like, I know I'll never be coming here again or seeing this place again because it's getting shut down. It took a while for them to shut it down for abuse. You know what I'm saying? But it did get shut down while I was there. And that was one of the reasons I ended up being released. Now, there was so much ratchet shit that goes on to where, like, for instance, Rattler dorm. Rattler dorm jump people a lot. So they wouldn't have enough staff, so they'd break a dorm down. What I mean by that is they might go to Gator dorm or Hurricane dorm and then take all the inmates and put 15 of them in the Gator dorm for the night, 15 of them in Rattler dorm the night. Like, they'd break the dorms down to where, you know, and then they'd sleep on the floor in that dorm on the outside of everyone else's doors. So like, it was always like a cool vibe hangout. And I'll tell you one thing. The times they broke down Hurricane Dorm and they put me in Rattler Dorm with everybody, like people from my dorm, I told people in my dorm, nah, they good, they good. There was people in my dorm that was scared to go in Rattler Dorm because they were so ratchet when getting into so much shit. And I was cool with everybody in there. Literally, there was so many people in there that I was cool with. They fought with me. I fought. My first time staying in there overnight, though, I had gotten 3 fights. I had to go back there and fight 3 people. You see what I'm saying? So then after that, I'm playing dominoes with them like I live in this dorm. And my mat's on the floor right over there next to that doorway. I'm playing dominoes. We playing chess. We hanging out. Be like, nah, man, come on. Don't fuck with brother. I'm a dog, though. I fuck with him. He good. Like if someone from Rattler Dorm would go up to a Hurricane and be like, oh, what's up, bro? Hey, Frog. I'll be like, what's up with bro? I'll be like, nah, he's straight. I'm a dog, bro. He good. Oh, okay. Like they would test the heart people. But everybody fuck with me. You see what I'm saying? I had good face because I was one of them white boys that came from Davie that stood on his own. Just like I did in the county jail, just like I did in prison. I'm always going to stand on my own because not that many people, you know, are from where I'm from that we're going to run into, you know. It isn't like Lauderdale's huge. Pompano's huge. You know, Hollywood, Florida's huge. There's so many ways to run into different people. It ain't happening from where I'm from. You get what I'm saying? But for the most part, I hope y'all like this video. Like I said, it's, you know, it's on the juvenile program. And, it's just, I had a lot of like, that made my hands to me, that put my hands up to date. Because in the alternative school I was in, yeah, we used to fight every day and shit like that. So my hands were never rusty. I'd always get in the fights, you know. But then going to this program, being gone that long, it kind of like made them up to date towards people on the streets. You know, when I first came home from the juvenile program, I got a pair of boxing gloves. All my dogs pulled up to my house and was like, hey, and Davey. I got a pair of boxing gloves and wanted to challenge all my dogs to a boxing match. And we were back there throwing hands, just play fighting. You see what I'm saying? But for the most part, yeah, that abuse shit's crazy. It does go down. It's still going down. It isn't just that was the only program. That's the only one that they got caught. You feel me? But anyways, I hope y'all like this video. Y'all hit that like and subscribe button. I got that new The Whole Shebang merch out. And till next time, man, you already know I'm gonna fuck with you. This Frog.